The sky above planet Xylon 9 was always red. Clouds moved like boiling blood. Lightning never stopped. And the ground was alive with death. They called it the deadliest world in the known galaxy. A Class 13 death world. No one survived. Long here. Not humans, not machines, not even time. 1,000 soldiers had landed here 2 days ago. Full armor, heavy weapons, tanks, drones. The best training. Now they were all gone. Only one remained. Corporal Jace Kellen. He was lying inside a broken drop pod, barely breathing. His leg was twisted, his shoulder crushed, and part of his helmet was melted. Into his skin, blood had dried around his eyes. His suit's life signals were flashing red, almost empty. But he was still alive. The wind outside screamed like a monster. The pod shook. A storm was coming. Acid rain, hot enough to melt steel. It would hit in 20 minutes. Jace knew this, but he didn't close his eyes. Instead, he tried to sit up. Pain exploded through his chest. He gasped but didn't stop. His hand moved slowly to his belt, fingers trembling as he reached for a stim pack. Click. The injector pierced his neck. The cold medicine entered his blood. His heart pounded harder. The pain became dull. His vision returned, though blurry. He pushed the pod's hatch with all his strength. It didn't move. He pushed again. Nothing. He screamed, punched it, then pressed both feet against the opposite wall and kicked. The hatch burst open with a loud crack. He tumbled out, coughing, gasping for air. The world outside welcomed him with heat. The sky burned. The wind carried ash. The trees were made of glass-like crystal that hummed low, like breathing. The ground shook under his feet. Xylon 9 was angry. Jace looked around. The bodies of his teammates were nowhere, either vaporized, eaten, or melted. There was no sign of life, no help, no answer from command. He tapped the side of his helmet. Corporal Kellen, reporting in, Unit Bravo 7, alive, requesting evac. Static, again, nothing. He was truly alone. But he wasn't broken. The acid storm was coming fast. Jace limped away from the pod, heading toward a rock formation. He remembered it from the mission map. It was the closest shelter, a small cave. Each step felt like fire. His leg dragged behind him. He used a broken metal rod as a crutch. He could already smell the storm. It stung his nose like poison. His HUD showed only 12 minutes until impact. He reached the rocks, climbed, slipped, climbed again. His hands were cut, but he didn't stop. Finally, he found the entrance, just big enough to crawl in. Inside, it was dark, dry. Safe for now, he collapsed onto the stone floor. His body wanted to sleep, but he couldn't. Not here. Not now. He tore part of his suit and wrapped it around his leg. Then checked his supplies. 1 water tube, cracked, half full. 2 stim packs, a knife, and a small beacon. Damaged but blinking. His only hope. He placed it on the ground. The screen showed a weak signal. Evac will never see that, he whispered, but it was something. He leaned back, listening to the storm rage outside. The planet wanted him dead. He smiled. Hours passed. Jace didn't sleep. He couldn't. Xylon 9 never rested. Strange clicking sounds echoed in the cave. Something else was inside. He grabbed his knife, waited. The sound stopped. Then, a low growl. Something was watching him from the shadows. He stood slowly. The growl became louder. 2 glowing eyes appeared in the darkness. A creature stepped forward. It was long, thin, like a snake mixed with a wolf. Sharp teeth. Skin that shimmered like oil. It was blind, but could smell him. Jace didn't run. He held the knife steady. The beast hissed, moved closer, then lunged. He rolled aside, slashing its side. Black blood sprayed the wall. The creature screamed. It turned again, faster. Jace kicked a loose rock. It hit the beast's face, just enough to blind it for a second. He charged forward, drove the knife deep into its neck. The beast thrashed, bit his arm. He screamed but held on. Then, silence. It fell. Dead. Jace dropped the knife. His hands shook. His suit was torn. Blood dripped from his arm, but he was alive. Again. He dragged the creature's body to the cave's entrance, hung it upside down, let the acid rain clean the wound. Then, using its hide, he patched his armor. The rain outside ended. Smoke rose from the trees. The storm had passed. He stepped outside again, looked at the horizon. There in the distance was a tower. Metal. Old. Not human-made. An alien structure. Maybe a signal station. Maybe death. He had to go. He marked his path with broken stones. Every step forward was a message to the world. I am not done. The next day was worse. He walked through rivers that boiled, fought insects that were larger than dogs, hid from flying beasts with metal wings. At night, the stars were red. The moon cracked in half. Jace kept moving. His body gave up many times, but his will did not. He thought of Earth, of home, of the people who trained him, of those who had died here. He would not join them. Not yet. He found food in strange moss that tasted like fire. It burned his throat but gave him strength. He drank from vines that dripped clear water. Poisoned, but his suit filtered most of it. He was surviving, and that was a victory. On the third night, he found a field of bones, thousands, alien and human, skulls with helmets, broken armor, melted rifles. They had tried to fight the planet, and lost. He walked through the field in silence. Then he saw something strange, a light, flickering blue, moving in a straight line. A drone, not human. It floated above the ground, scanning. He followed it, limping, bleeding, but faster. The drone entered a canyon. Narrow walls, no way out. Jace followed, until he saw the truth. It wasn't a drone, it was a decoy, and above him, on the cliffs, something moved. Big forelegs, glowing eyes. Jace stepped back, too late. The rocks exploded. The creature jumped down. It roared. He stood still. No fear on his face. Only silence. It ran toward him. He didn't run, just waited. At the last second, he threw a flare into its eyes. It screamed. Jace dove aside. The beast hit the wall. Stunned, he grabbed a metal rod, jabbed it into its throat. The creature choked, stumbled, fell, dead. Again. He stood over it, breathing hard, looked up at the stars. "Send more," he whispered. The beacon on his belt beeped, 1 bar. Someone had seen his signal. Maybe, maybe not. He kept walking toward the alien tower, toward survival. He was just one human, but the planet had failed to break him, and tomorrow he would make it regret trying. The wind was quiet now. Too quiet. Jace walked through dead silence. The only sound was the crunch of glass-like grass under his boots. Every step he took echoed across the wasteland. The alien tower was still far, but he was getting closer. His beacon signal grew stronger. Just one more ridge to climb. One more mile of pain. He thought the worst was behind him. He was wrong. Something was watching him again, not from the sky, not from the cliffs, but below. The ground trembled, light at first, like a heartbeat, then stronger. Jace froze. The vibration stopped. He stepped forward slowly. Nothing. Then suddenly the ground behind him exploded. A creature launched out of the dirt. It was huge, at least 12 feet tall, 4 legs like stone pillars. Its back was covered in living armor, thick plates that shimmered like metal. Its face had no eyes, just rows of teeth, and a mouth wide enough to swallow him whole. It was known as a burrow fang, and it had destroyed armored vehicles before. Jace Didn't move. He just stared at it. The creature sniffed the air. It had no eyes, but it could smell his fear, or his courage. It circled him. Closer. Closer. Jace didn't blink. His eyes locked on the beast's face, and something strange happened. The creature stopped. It tilted its head like it was confused. Then, it stepped back. It growled low, but didn't charge. Jace kept staring. His heart was racing, but his face was calm, cold, focused. The beast took one more step back. Then it screamed, loud, wild, and disappeared into the dirt again. Gone. Jace stood there for a while, still breathing hard, but smiling. He kept walking. The alien tower was closer now, but the terrain was harder. Sharp rocks, acid pits, and spiked plants that moved when he passed. Still, he pushed on. He couldn't explain what just happened. Why that? Monster so strong it could tear apart tanks, walked away. Was it fear? No, that didn't make sense. Maybe instinct, or maybe something else. That night, he camped inside the shell of a dead creature. It had bones like steel and skin like rubber. A perfect shelter. He made a small fire using broken tech from his belt. It gave off no smoke, just heat. He cooked alien moss, ate it slowly, and thought about Earth. He remembered the words of his old commander. Sometimes, survival is not about strength. It's about what others see when they look at you. Jace now understood what that meant. The next morning, the sky turned green. That was never a good sign. He checked his gear. Beacon, active. Knife, dull but usable. Water, almost gone, still alive. He moved again. Half a mile later, he found something strange. A metal plate buried in the ground. Not human. Not alien army. Ancient. He cleared the dust and saw markings, symbols glowing faintly, a circle, a triangle, a single eye. He touched it. The ground beneath him lit up, and a door opened, a hidden tunnel. He hesitated, but went in. The tunnel was cold, quiet, too clean for this planet. It was made of smooth black stone, humming softly. Blue lights followed him as he walked. Then came the sound, footsteps, not his. He turned around. Nothing there. He kept walking. Then, from the shadows, movement. Machine, floating, silent. It had arms with tools, cameras instead of eyes, and it projected a light onto Jace's chest. It scanned him, then spoke in a strange, broken voice. Subject, not authorized, but surviving. Jace didn't answer. The machine blinked, then floated away. He followed. The machine led him to a large room. Inside were hundreds of alien skulls, stacked in rows. Each had a number. One human skull was there too, numbered 00. Jace's skin went cold. Was he next? The machine turned and spoke again. Only one survives. Every century. You are different. Then the walls lit up. Videos played. Alien warriors fighting beasts, storms, machines. Each one died in horrible ways. Then came a new video. It was Jace walking through acid rain, killing the cave beast, standing still as the burrow fang backed. Away, the machine said one more thing. The planet is watching. Then everything turned off. Jace left the tunnel. Outside, the air was hotter than before. His skin burned, even through his armor. He found a tall cliff, climbed it, slowly, painfully. At the top, he could see the tower again, close now. Only one. A valley left. But this valley was filled with movement, creatures, dozens of them, big, small, flying, crawling, all heading toward him, but none attacked. They just watched. He stepped down the cliff, walked through the valley. The creatures made space for him, not out of fear, but out of respect. By sunset, he reached the alien tower. It stood tall and quiet. Its walls pulsed with energy. He found the door, but it didn't open. Instead, a voice spoke from inside his helmet. Corporal Kellen, if you're hearing this, "You're alive." He froze. It was his commander's voice. From the pre-mission upload. This message is only triggered by a survivor beacon. No one has ever made it this far. If you're hearing this, you're the first. Then the voice paused. But this tower isn't a rescue point. It's a final test. The door opened. Jace stepped inside. The inside was empty. Just a wide, round room. In the center, another creature. Not a beast, but a humanoid. Tall, silver armor, glowing red eyes. It was a guardian, a final challenger. No weapons, just fists. It stepped forward. Jace stood tall, broken, tired, wounded, but ready. The guardian attacked first. Fast, precise. Jace blocked with his forearm. Pain shot through him. He countered, jabbed to the neck. The guardian didn't flinch. They fought hard. 1 hit, 2, then 5. Jace was thrown across the room. He got up, wiped blood from his mouth, smiled, and ran forward. He used the guardian's momentum against it, tripped it, slammed its head into the floor. The lights in its eyes faded. Jace stood over it, breathing heavy. Then the walls of the tower lit up. The ceiling opened, and a beam of light shined down on him. The voice returned. Final. Trial complete. Subject. Passed. Jace looked up. The stars were clear now. No clouds, no storms, just peace. He fell to his knees. Not in defeat, but in victory. He didn't win because he was stronger. He won because he never stopped. The skies turned dark green as Jace stepped out of the alien tower. Lightning cracked sideways across the sky. The clouds weren't clouds anymore. They were moving, alive. A warning. The tower behind him sealed shut. His trial was over, but the planet wasn't done. The wind howled like a scream. His helmet beeped. Toxic gas detected. Skin exposure will burn. He didn't panic. He wrapped a torn cloth around his mouth and nose. He checked his beacon. It was stronger. The signal pulsed steady. Evac might be close, he whispered. But the poisoned sky said something else. Not yet. Jace kept walking. Every breath burned his lungs. His vision blurred. His muscles shook. He passed blackened trees that melted when touched by the gas. The rivers ran red, boiling at the edges. Even the rocks hissed in pain. This part of the planet was different. It didn't want him dead. It wanted him to suffer first. Suddenly his foot sank. He looked down. Quicksand, but it wasn't sand. It was alive. A thick red slime grabbed his leg and pulled. He stabbed into it with his knife, again and again. No use. It pulled harder. He dropped the knife, grabbed a sharp branch nearby, jammed it into the ground. With all his strength he pulled up. One boot came free, barely. His leg was covered in burns. Skin peeled away. Blood steamed, but he was out. He limped toward a rock wall nearby and collapsed. He didn't scream, didn't cry. He just breathed. Slow, steady. He wasn't broken, not yet. Night fell, but on this world, night didn't bring peace. It brought hunters. He heard them first. High-pitched clicks, snaps, dozens of them. He turned off his beacon's light, hid behind a thick stone, and watched. Shadows crawled from the trees, thin, long, with glowing lines across their bodies, eyes like stars. These were the night feeders. They didn't see with sight. They saw heat. And Jace was burning. He needed to cool down, or he'd be seen. He grabbed a handful of cold mud and smeared it over his body, neck, face, arms, breath, held. Still. The creatures moved past, so close he could hear their teeth grind, but they didn't stop. They didn't find him. He waited an hour before moving again. By morning his leg was worse, blisters, infection. He tore off part of his sleeve, made a new bandage. He bit down on a rock and poured water over the wound. The pain was white hot, but he didn't stop. The sky above was changing again. A single dark circle appeared in the clouds, then more. They looked like eyes, watching, judging. The planet itself was learning. He climbed a high ridge to get a better view. At the top, he saw something that made his heart skip. A ship, broken, half buried, but human. He slid down the ridge and ran to it. He reached the hull, touched it, old scratches, burn marks. Unit, Alpha 2. From a mission 2 years ago, long thought lost. Inside, he found bones, but also supplies, a med kit, sealed food, a fresh stim pack. He injected the stim. Warmth returned to his chest. His thoughts became clear again. He checked the beacon inside the ship, dead. But he found something else, a journal. One line was highlighted. Don't fear the world, make the world fear you. He smiled, pocketed the journal, and moved on. As he walked, the sky opened up. Rain fell, but it wasn't water. It was ash mixed with acid, burning flakes that melted skin. He ran for shelter, found a hollow under a stone bridge, waited. The storm passed quickly but left a mark. His exposed hand was burned raw. He cut a strip from his uniform and wrapped it tight. He whispered under his breath, "Is this all you've got?" As if the planet was listening. Later that day, he heard a sound he hadn't heard in days, a ship engine. He looked up, a rescue shuttle, small, fast, passing overhead. He screamed, waved his arms, fired a flare. The ship turned slightly. Then, it kept going. He stood there, arm raised, mouth open, then slowly lowered his hand. They didn't see him, or didn't believe the signal. He was still alone. That night he reached a canyon filled with glowing blue crystals. The rocks hummed as he passed. He didn't know it, but these were memory stones. They stored sound. He touched one, and it spoke. "You've come far, human. Farther than any before." He froze. It wasn't a recording. It was speaking now, alive. The voice continued, "The planet hates the weak, but it does not hate you." Another stone lit up. "Leave, and we will forget you. Stay, and we will learn from you." Jace looked around. Was the planet talking? Were the creatures its eyes? The storms its voice? Was he becoming part of it? No, not yet. He turned his back on the stones and walked on. By dawn his body was close to breaking, but his mind was sharp. He found a new cave, small, dry. He set up camp, checked his beacon again. The signal blinked 3 times. Incoming transmission. He tapped his helmet. "Jace, is that you?" "Say again." "Jace, if you're alive, respond." He gasped. "Command, I'm here. I'm alive." Static. Then, "Hold position. Evac en route. 48 hours. Relief, but also danger." Hours was a lifetime here. He had to survive. 2 more days. He looked out at the horizon. New clouds were rising. Thicker. Hotter. Something big was coming. Something final. He didn't rest. He sharpened his blade, cleaned his gear, then sat by the cave mouth, waiting, breathing, watching. The world had thrown storms, monsters, and burning skies, but he was still walking, still fighting, still unbroken. Jace didn't sleep that night. He just stared at the sky. The storm was growing bigger. Winds howled louder than screams. The heat shimmered across the land like fire. But he had one thought in his mind. Just 48 hours. That was the last message he received from command. Hold position. Help was coming. But he knew better than to relax. Nothing on this world was that simple. By morning, something was wrong. The air was thick, heavier than before. His lungs fought for every breath. He stood at the edge of the cave, watching the desert stretch for miles. Then he heard it. Footsteps. Not one. Not 2. Many. He grabbed his knife, knelt low. Silent. The shadows came over the rocks. At first, he thought, They were more night feeders. But no, they were humanoids, alien, thin bodies, long arms, bone-colored skin, black cloth wrapped around their heads. But what shocked Jace most, they were carrying human weapons, guns from lost Earth teams, blades from fallen soldiers. These weren't animals, they were scavengers, and they had killed before. One of them raised his head, sniffed the air, then pointed toward the cave. Jace's heart tightened. He was found. They charged. Jace ran deeper into the cave, but there was no back exit. Just stone and walls. A trap. He turned. Knife ready. Eo, first scavenger, lunged in. Jace stabbed upward, straight through the neck. The second followed with a spear. Jace ducked and slashed the leg. Screams echoed. Another entered. Too many. He dropped low, rolled and grabbed the gun from the first body. One shot. Two. They screamed and pulled back, but they didn't run. They regrouped outside the cave. Jace counted. 5 more. He had 3 bullets. Not enough. He checked the cave wall. There was a narrow crack, just wide enough. He squeezed through it, scraping his arm, tearing his shirt. On the other side, a drop, 15 feet down. He jumped, landed hard, ankle twisted, but he was alive. He limped fast through a narrow ravine. The scavengers howled behind him. He didn't look back. He reached a dried riverbed, then stopped. Something stood ahead. A girl, alien, small, maybe 10 years old, hair like moss, skin pale gray. She didn't speak, didn't move, just watched him, then pointed, left. Jace looked behind him. The scavengers were getting closer. He nodded and turned where she pointed, ran left. The rocks led him to a hidden pit, filled with soft dirt and vines. He slid in, covered himself. Seconds later, the scavengers passed by, loud, angry, fast. They didn't see him. He waited, silent, then slowly got up. But the girl was gone. Vanished. Later, he climbed a hill to get signal. The sky had changed again, orange now with glowing cracks. He checked the beacon, still active. But something new blinked on the screen. Unidentified life form. Following. He turned around. Nothing there, just wind, but he could feel it too. Something was following him, not the scavengers, not a beast, something else. That night, he heard music, soft, gentle, a tune he remembered from Earth, his mother's song. But that was impossible. He stood still. The song came from a nearby ridge. He followed it, slow, careful. At the top, he saw her. The girl again, sitting by a glowing stone, humming. When she looked at him, her eyes were full of light. She pointed again, this time up, above the clouds. A flash. A rescue ship. He gasped. It was early. They came sooner than 48 hours. He raised his beacon, pressed the signal burst. A green light blinked. The ship turned, started descending. Jace laughed, shouted, "I'm here!" The girl smiled, then whispered something he couldn't hear, then disappeared into the wind again. He ran to the clearing. The Gi shuttle came down fast, metal body shining. Dust flew everywhere. The doors opened. 2 soldiers stepped out. Humans. Real humans. They saw Jace and rushed over. "Corporal Kellen, confirm identity." He nodded, tears in his eyes. "You're real. You came." One soldier looked around. "This place looks bad. You okay?" "No," Jace said, laughing through pain. "But I'm alive." They carried him into the ship, laid him down. A medic treated his burns, injected clean stim. Jace exhaled slowly. He looked out the window as they lifted off. He saw the land below, burned, broken and deadly, but beautiful in a strange way. He also saw figures on the ridges, dozens of creatures, all staring at the ship. Silent. Then he saw her, the girl again, smiling, standing still, watching him leave. The medic frowned. What's wrong? Jace didn't answer. He looked down at his arm. The beacon still blinked, but the screen now showed something new. Passenger. One human. One unknown. He sat up quickly. Wait, the ship lights flickered. One soldier looked back. Everything okay? Jace stared at the far end of the ship. Shadows moved. A shape sat silently near the back. He couldn't make out a face, but he knew she was with him. The rescue ship flew high above the clouds. Jace sat quietly near the back. His burns were bandaged. His arm was wrapped. The air inside the ship was cold, clean, and dry, nothing like the world below. But he didn't feel safe. Not really, because he wasn't alone. The med officer walked by. You good, soldier? Jace nodded, but his eyes drifted again to the corner of the ship where the shadows moved. She was there. The girl from the planet. Silent. Still. Watching. But no one else saw her. The other soldiers walked past her like she didn't exist. She wasn't in their line of sight. Only Jace could see her, and the ship's scanner. Passenger. One human, one unknown. He wanted to speak, to ask her what she was. But her eyes glowed, and his voice froze in his throat. 3 hours later, the ship reached Orbit Station 9. High above a calm blue moon, the station floated like a steel city in space. The ship landed in the bay. Jace was helped out and rushed to the medical wing. Command officers, doctors, scientists, they all surrounded him. They had thought he was dead. You survived the death planet alone? You walked 200 kilometers across live terrain? You fought scavengers and passed the toxin zones? He just nodded. I walked, that's all. But the scans told them more. His blood had changed. His lungs worked better in thin air. His skin had thickened. His bones denser. The planet had changed him. Yet none of that scared the scientists. What scared them? Was the unknown signal still coming from his body? The second presence. Inside the lab, a commander stared at Jace's scan. There's something inside you, or near you. Jace looked at the screen. A shape hovered beside his heat signature. Not touching, not part of him, but always there. He whispered, "It's her." Her? The doctor asked. Jace nodded. She saved me, guided me. The commander narrowed his eyes. No life forms left that planet, except you. Jace said nothing. He knew they wouldn't believe him. Not until they saw her. That night, alone in the station's medical room, Jace sat near the window. He could see the stars, bright and endless. She appeared again, standing behind him. Her feet made no sound. He turned. You followed me, he said softly. She nodded. But why? Her eyes glowed silver. Her lips didn't move, but he heard her voice, in his mind. You passed the test. But now, you carry something the galaxy must know. He frowned. What do you mean? I am not a girl. I am a memory, a weapon, a message. He stood, slowly. A weapon. Yes, made by the planet long ago, buried deep, waiting, watching. Those who survive unlock me. You survived, so I came with you. Suddenly alarms screamed in the station. Red lights flashed. Jace looked at the door. What's happening? A voice crackled over the intercom. Unregistered energy spike, Sector 6, moving through walls. She looked at him. They know now. They fear me. But they must listen. She turned and walked through the steel wall like it was smoke. Outside the medical room, guards aimed weapons at the hall. They saw her shape flicker past. Their eyes widened. Target has no heat signature. She's moving without opening doors. Then all lights went out. The station went dark. Only one voice echoed, not hers, but the station's AI. Unauthorized entity detected. Defense systems online. Guns turned toward her. Drones activated. Jace ran out. Stop! She's not here to kill us. But it was too late. The drones fired. She didn't move. The bullets hit and passed right through. She flickered again, like light, then raised one hand. The entire hallway froze. Drones crashed, guns melted, time itself slowed. She turned to Jace. They can't stop what they don't understand. But you're different. Later, in the main hall, the command council gathered. They had no choice now. The unknown being was real and unstoppable. They brought Jace in. "What does it want?" one officer asked. Jace looked tired. "She wants us to listen." "To what?" "To the planet's warning." She entered. No doors opened. She just appeared. All guards pointed weapons, but no one fired. The air was still. She spoke, this time out loud, but it sounded like thousands of voices speaking at once. "The world you call Dead 13 is not dead. It is the first of many. Long ago, others tried to control it. They failed. Now the galaxy walks the same path. You take, you burn, you forget. But the old worlds remember. They are waking. I am their voice." Silence. Then a council leader stepped forward. "Are you threatening us?" Her glowing eyes locked on him. "No. But you are threatening yourselves." She turned to Jace. "You are the first to survive the fire. That makes you the first to choose." He swallowed. "Choose what?" "To be a bridge or a warning. They will listen to you or they will burn like the ones before." And then she vanished. Gone. Not a sound, not a trace. Only Jace remained. In the center of the hall, everyone stared at him. One officer whispered, "What just happened?" Jace stood straight. "She's not a ghost. She's not a god. She's a memory. A message. And now, she's in me." The council did not believe him, even after seeing the glowing girl, even after their weapons failed to stop her. They called her a glitch, a trick. Some kind of tech, maybe alien mind control, they said. But Jace knew better. He felt her inside, him now, not in his body but in his mind. A presence, watching, waiting. They kept him under watch, locked in a clean white room. No windows, no visitors. "Just for safety," the guard said. But Jace knew the truth. They were afraid of him, afraid of what followed him. He sat on the floor, staring at the blank wall. Then her voice came again, soft like wind. "They do not listen. But they will learn." He asked, "What will happen?" "The message is already moving. They will feel what your world felt. The old planets do not forget." Meanwhile, across the galaxy, on planet Corvalon, the sky cracked open. What began as a red storm turned into acid rain, falling on metal cities, burning holes through walls. Defense shields failed, machines shut down. In less than 4 hours, the mining colony went silent, dead. No distress signal. No survivors. Only one word remained in the station logs: awakened. At the same time, on Fleet Base Araxis, located on the moon of Zethra Prime, a fleet of warships went dark. No enemy, no sabotage. The crews simply vanished. Gone, as if erased, only. The ships remained, floating, empty, cold. A message was carved into each bridge wall, written in old Earth language. "He warned you." Back on Orbit Station 9, Jace was taken to another meeting. This time, the Galactic defense leaders joined by holofeed. Dozens of species, hundreds of eyes, some with fur, some with scales, some glowing, all powerful, all confused, all angry. One shouted, "You brought this. You brought the planet's curse." Another hissed, "This is human trickery." Jace stood still. He didn't argue. He just said, "She's trying to stop it, not cause it." A voice echoed through the speakers. "Then why are our worlds dying?" Jace answered, "Because you never listened." A scientist rushed in, pale, shaking. "We have a reading. Massive tectonic activity on planet Velos." Another world, another colony. The planet cracked open. From inside, cities fell, skies turned black, everything burned. Some on the council still refused to accept it. Coincidence? Natural disasters. But then, she appeared again, not in secret. This time she appeared in the center of the command hall. A storm of light wrapped around her. The soldiers aimed their guns, but none fired. She looked at all of them, and spoke, louder than ever. You laughed at the warnings. You mocked the survivor. Now, the galaxy burns one world at a time. Until you change, or you fall. One brave general asked, "What do you want?" Her eyes flared like stars. Stop spreading. Stop mining the dead worlds. Stop waking what sleeps. You have enough. Build within your stars, or the old ones will finish what they started. She turned to Jace. You carry the spark now. You must decide, he asked. Decide what? If they deserve to survive. After she vanished, the council fell into chaos. Some wanted to declare war on the planet itself. We'll burn that cursed world to ash. Others wanted peace. She's not an enemy, she's a warning. They argued for hours, but then came the final signal. A planet called New Voltra went dark. Its surface collapsed into a sinkhole the size of a continent. 5 billion gone. No weapons used. No attack. Just silence, and one final scan from a satellite, the same shape, the same girl, standing on the last hill, watching. Jace sat alone in his room later that night. She returned, not glowing this time, just a quiet, small figure. Like a child, he whispered, "Why do you look like that?" She sat beside him. "It is the form your mind accepts. The truth is too big." He closed his eyes. "I don't want anyone else to die." She looked at him. "Then make them listen. Tell them the next world doesn't have to fall." He stood the next day in front of the full Galactic Assembly, thousands of species, all watching him. A single human. One survivor. Jace's voice didn't shake. "She's not here to kill us. She's trying to save us from ourselves. She warned me first, then you. Stop taking from worlds you don't understand. Stop thinking everything is yours." She said the next world could be spared, and I believe her. The room stayed quiet. No one laughed this time. No one mocked him. Because now, they were afraid. Not of her, but of what comes next. They thought they could control the story. The Galactic Council released a public message. The recent disasters are natural. There is no enemy, no threat. They blamed solar flares. They blamed unstable cores. They blamed anything but the truth. And they told Jace to stay silent. "Don't speak of the girl," they warned him. "You'll cause panic." But Jace knew what he saw, what he felt, and what was coming. So the council made a choice. They sent a new team to Dead 13, the Death Planet, a team of elite scientists protected by soldiers, drones, heavy armor, all volunteers. Their mission? Find proof. Find the entity, Jace spoke of, record it, study it, maybe destroy it. They never returned. For 10 long days there was no signal, no video, no sound. Then, one shuttle arrived back. Its engine was burned. Its hull was cracked. Inside were only 3 survivors. The rest, gone. Doctors rushed to pull the survivors out. They were not injured. They were changed. Eyes glowing faintly, skin pale like moonlight. They didn't speak, not even a whisper, until one of them looked up and said just one sentence. "She showed us everything." They were taken to the isolation wing. Jace was called in. When he entered the white room, one of the survivors turned to him. He gasped, because their face, it wasn't fully theirs anymore. It shimmered, half human, half something else. Something planet-born. Jace, the voice said. You were right. She lives. He stepped closer. What did she show you? The survivor trembled. The wars before memory. The planets buried under light. The voices trapped in metal and stone. We heard the screams of the last ones, and now we carry them. Outside the chamber, the council panicked. This is contamination. They've brought something back. We must destroy the shuttle, burn the gear, but it was too late because every system on the station was changing. The AI stuttered, lights flickered, even gravity failed for 2 minutes. And on the outer hull, strange symbols started glowing. No one knew how they got there, but Jace recognized them from her. He stood before the council again. They brought her voice back with them, he said. You tried to shut her out. But she found another way. High Commander slammed the table. This is madness. One girl can't control the galaxy. Jace looked straight at him. She's not just one girl. She's all of them. One of the survivors began writing. Not with hands, but with light from their fingers. Glowing words hovered in the air. The gate will open, and judgment will follow. Suddenly, one survivor collapsed, screamed, and then vanished. Gone. No body. Just dust. And a faint burning mark on the floor. In the same symbol as before. Now the council had no choice. They called it Level 0 Threat. And that meant only one thing. War protocol. They started building weapons. Massive ones. Targeted at Dead 13. They planned to fire from orbit. To destroy the planet completely. Wipe it from the stars, they said. End this before it spreads. But Jace ran. He made his way to the launch bay, to one of the small transport ships. She met him there, already inside. The glowing girl, you knew I'd come, he said. She nodded. They will destroy what they don't understand. But the planet cannot be killed, only awakened. He sat down beside her. Then take me back. The ship launched, small, fast, silent. Jace didn't look back at the station. He knew the council would try to stop him, but he also knew something else. They were too late. As they entered orbit over Dead 13, he saw it. The surface was changing, not lava, not fire, but something worse. Awakening, mountains shifting, skies glowing, land pulsing like a living heart, and in the center, a massive rising structure, black stone, shaped like a tower, reaching for the stars. She turned to him. The last city, buried before your kind was born. Now it calls us home. They landed. The moment Jace touched the ground again, he felt it, stronger than before. The pull, the memory, the pain, the truth. He fell to one knee, but she touched his shoulder, and he stood. Why me? He asked. Because you listened. Above them, the council's first strike ship entered orbit, a giant cannon aimed at the surface. The order was given, fire, but the blast never landed. The moment it neared the tower, it stopped, frozen in midair, and turned to ice, then shattered. All ships above began to fail, systems dying, weapons melting, and one final message appeared on every screen, across every world in the council's system, in their own languages, in their own voices, but from her. You had a chance. You chose to lie. Now, you will witness. Jace stood beside her. She looked at the tower, still rising. I'm ready, he said. She looked at him, not as a stranger anymore, but as part of her world now. Then come, the truth waits. The ground shook, but it wasn't an earthquake. It was breath. The planet was breathing. Jace stood with her, the glowing girl, at the edge of the rising black tower. It stretched into the sky, tall as mountains, pulsing like a heartbeat. Around them, the dead landscape of Dead 13 was no longer Quiet. The rocks moved. The sand whispered. The wind carried ancient voices. The gate is open. She turned to Jace. Are you ready? He didn't answer with words. He just stepped forward. Up above, the Council's remaining fleet gathered. Thousands of warships, weapons aimed. This time they weren't firing warning shots. They had declared war. War on a planet. War on something older than their own species. War on the thing they never understood. In the sky, light started bending. The sun dimmed, even though it was shining, and from the cracks in the tower, shapes began to rise. Not machines, not monsters, memories. They floated like smoke, each one glowing with faces of the past. Whole civilizations long gone, but not forgotten. A voice echoed across the stars. Every species, every station, every soldier heard it. You buried us. You stole from us. You mined our bones. Now feel what we felt. The first wave of Council ships fired, massive beams, torpedoes, planet-cracking bombs, but all of it stopped, mid-air, frozen in place. Then turned back. Each weapon reversed its path, crashing into the ships that launched them, a firework of failure. Inside the tower, Jace followed the girl. He saw walls that shimmered with history. He saw Earth. He saw the rise of humans. He saw how they came last, but learned fastest. And then he saw why the girl chose him. Because long ago, humans were not just survivors. They were protectors. They came to Dead 13 not to take, but to guard it, until greed came centuries later. You are the last spark, she said. Jace stepped into the center of the chamber. A circle of light formed beneath his feet. You saw the pain. You did not turn away. So now, you choose. A massive structure, hidden below the planet's surface, rose into the sky. Not a weapon, not a ship, a judge. It looked ancient, yet alive. It looked like a machine, but made of memory. And then it spoke. To everyone. The one who lived has returned. The final voice will decide, survive or burn. The Council, desperate, sent a message directly to Jace. This isn't your war. Shut it down. You're a human, not a god. Jace closed his eyes and whispered, I'm not your weapon. I'm her answer. All across the galaxy, screens flickered. Every planet stopped. Every being froze and watched as the tower pulsed. One last time. Then, light shot into space, faster than anything ever seen, but it didn't destroy. It reached every world that had once stolen from Dead 13. Now faced its own truth. Rivers turned black where they poisoned life. Skies cracked where greed had stripped air. Weapons melted where peace had been betrayed. The punishment wasn't death. It was memory. They were forced to feel the screams of the forgotten, to carry the sorrow they caused. And then, silence. The tower calmed. The sky cleared. The girl turned to Jace. It is done. He looked at her. What happens now? She smiled, not with joy, but with peace. Now they remember, and you will help them never forget. She began to fade. Wait, Jace said, but she shook her head gently. I was never meant to stay. But you were. Jace fell to his knees as she vanished, but in her place, a new forest grew, right there on Dead 13 Green, alive, the first in thousands of years. Years passed. The planet no longer killed. It healed. Scientists came, not to mine, but to learn. Pilgrims visited, not to conquer, but to remember. And in the heart of the tower, a voice was stored, Jace's voice, telling the truth. He stayed there, became the first guardian of the living world. Children called him the one who spoke. Leaders came to him for guidance, because now they all knew. This planet was not dead. It had been waiting for someone to listen, and Jace? He never saw the glowing girl again. But sometimes when the wind moved just right, he heard her. You did not break, so they had a chance. Thank you.